Hello paper writers, it's Rebecca back again with another paper intervention. This intervention is for desperation, DEFCON level, we'll say 1 to 3. Yeah, you're a little pressed for time to write a paper, but you still have some time to do it. This is a tutorial about how to avoid the 5 simple mistakes that tank a paper grade, especially if you write a paper in a hurry. It is possible to write a paper in a hurry and still have it be pretty good. Yeah, it's a well-kept secret in the professoriate. We like to tell you to take 3 weeks to write a 5-page paper, and really we prefer when you do, because that means you've taken some time and actually learned something and written multiple drafts and absolutely done the work yourself. But look, it's an imperfect world. And rather than have you resort to horrible things like making that jerk who works for the paper mill who goes by the Shadow Scholar even richer, the goal of this series is to put that jerk out of business. All right? It's never going to happen, but if I can take away even 1 day's worth of work from that idiot, then I've done my job. Okay, but I digress. Anyway, 5 simple mistakes that almost every student makes, especially when they write their paper in a hurry. Mistake number 1, a horrible introduction. Because we're taught, well, the introduction introduces the paper, you write your paper from beginning to end, so obviously the introduction is the first thing you're going to write. The result of that is introductions that ramble, that talk about things have changed throughout the world, attitudes toward things in the world have changed throughout time. One of my mentors back in graduate school in the writing program of the large core course that I did used to call those "Since the Cooling of the Earth's Crust" introductions. And that, the second that your professor sees that, your grade goes down at least 1 letter. 2 if they're in a bad mood. I wouldn't do that, but it happens, right? So you want to avoid a horrible introduction. The second thing you want to avoid is what I like to call quote dump, where you're using evidence from the text, which is good, but you're not really using it. You're blathering on, and then you just take a quote and you go, and you copy it and paste it into the text with no introduction and no analysis. You say, Gatsby was obviously angry at Daisy, and then you just put a quote. You don't even say who's talking, you don't say when it is, you don't set it up, you don't talk about it. Not only is that ridiculous and difficult to read, but it also is a lost opportunity for you, right? The third mistake that tanks papers is obvious rambling. And there's a difference between good rambling and obvious rambling, right? If I see that somebody is quite obviously just trying to fill up a page, I'm like, oh, I can't believe you want me to read this. But if somebody has been a little clever in their rambling, then I give them the benefit of the doubt. Another thing that tanks paper grades is plot summary. I know what happens in the book. I assigned it. I read it. You don't need to explain the Spark Notes version of the plot to me. Well, maybe you think you do. And then the last thing that tanks a grade is when you get to like the page before the page requirement and you're like, the end, therefore, paper over. I did it, woo! Guilty of that as an undergraduate, for sure, okay? So those are the 5 common mistakes that tank a paper grade. And now I'm going to tell you how to avoid them. I'm going to tell you how to avoid them in another video because I want my videos to be really short. So this is part 1 of 2. Cliffhanger! Oh my god, how's it gonna end? How's it gonna end? You'll have to see. Alright, so I'll see you in a second, YouTubers. Bye.